Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good. Today, I am so excited. Our guest today is a former bachelorette. She was a licensed attorney and also a fearless voice in pop culture, reality television, and beyond. I guarantee within the next 2 years, she will have her own television talk show. But for now, you can hear her on The Ringer's Morally Corrupt podcast and Higher Learning with the incredible Van Lathan. They have an upcoming live show at Gramercy Theater in New York. But sorry, folks, it is sold out. Beyonce who? We have media maven, truth teller, and low-key icon Rachel Lindsay is here.
Okay, that might be one of the best intros I have ever received. Thank you so much.
I had to edit that down.
That was, you're so sweet. That was so nice. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
I got to meet you. We did Sam Sanders' podcast,
And
The
had
Excellent
a
Sam
blast.
Sanders. I had such a good time.
So good.
And it is so nice going into those situations. And I was really nervous to meet you because I really respect you. And not only your work in reality television, but how you speak about reality television. And you couldn't have been nicer. And you put me at such ease. And I was just like, wow, some people just really do live up to your expectations.
Oh, thank you so much. You were lovely. I, first off, didn't know you were nervous. It was like talking to an old friend. And immediately I was like, I want to do your podcast.
Yeah, no, it
And
was
here
so,
we are.
I was like, really? I was like,
Yes.
oh my gosh. So thank you for being here because I want to point out to the audience, she was at a bachelorette party this weekend. Then she did CNN last night. Her voice is wrecked. She's doing 2 podcasts. She's doing live shows. I mean, is this something you could have ever imagined for your life? You grew up in Texas, right?
Yes, Dallas, Texas. Born and raised.
What was your dream as a little girl?
You know, I always wanted to be a lawyer. As I think at like age 7, I was watching Matlock. So this is clocky, not the new Matlock. So I'm showing how old I am. And my dad was an attorney. I knew I wanted to do public speaking. I was in speech meets as a kid. I knew I wanted to be in front of people. I actually wanted to do theater. And my parents were like, absolutely not. So I guess I've always just had a love. I went to children's theater. I love Broadway theater now.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of theater kids because I was like, that's the dream I always wanted. Not necessarily to be an actor, but just to be a part of the community. And so I always knew, I guess I would be talking in front of people in some form or fashion. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be doing things like this, that I would fall in love with podcasting, that I would get paid to talk about the TV shows that I watched, that I get to meet such lovely people, form a bond over this crazy thing, reality TV, but talk about it on a higher level. And that's why when people are like, what is your 5-year plan? I'm always like, I've learned not to say that anymore because I never know what's around the corner.
Yeah, because you couldn't predict. I mean, nobody could predict the boom in podcasting, first off.
Right.
And then if you actually are the Bachelorette, I mean, it's kind of all bets are off at that point.
Yeah.
And we had talked on the show with Sam about when you go on a show like The Bachelorette, back in the day, you could guarantee almost like 1 million followers
For
on
sure.
Instagram. And it's petered off a little bit in terms of the intensity of like these people. I mean, first off, I don't believe anybody goes on these shows for the right reasons anymore, even though you said you did go on for the right reasons.
I did. I went on to escape my reality. But I didn't have a Twitter. I think private on social media, on Instagram. I was more active on Facebook, which I know is wild to say. I wasn't doing it for that kind of fame. At best, if anything, I thought, well, I'm open to love and we'll see what happens, but I didn't believe it could happen for me. And I thought, if anything, I've always, my background in law is in school was sports and entertainment. So I thought maybe I'll just like represent some of these people and take them back to my law firm. But that wasn't like the goal going in. I really just I came off a big breakup. I needed an escape. The opportunity presented itself to me. And I just had this feeling in my gut that I was going to regret it if I didn't say yes. But I wasn't like, I'm going to be on TV and I'm going to have my show and I'm going to be. No, that was never a thought for me.
I always think about like sliding door moments of like, if we take a left turn where we ended up taking a right, where would we be?
Yeah.
And do you ever think about that? If I had not said yes to this opportunity coming off of a breakup, how different my life would be?
At least once a week, if not every other day. I think about that. So it's funny, not to plug myself here, but I did
No, that's what you're literally here to do, plug yourself.
I did write a novel.
Yep.
And it was kind of a sliding doors-esque thing where the protagonist, which I guess is modeled after me, she said no to being on reality TV and her life played out in one way, but her best friend said, well, I'm taking this opportunity. So she saw that play out in that way. So it wasn't exactly her, but she saw what could have been. But it's kind of a road for a self-discovery road. You have to read it. You have to get it. It's called Real Love, which I feel like
link in show notes, you guys.
Thank you. But yeah, I use it as a reality check for myself because I come from parents who didn't come from much and built something great for themselves and are extremely humble in everything that they do. So I use the sliding doors moment to humble myself. I'll say, hey, it's 1:00 on a Wednesday. What would I be doing if I had said no?
Yeah.
I do it all the time. And so it just reminds me of you never know where you could be, but also be fearless and take chances on opportunities that present themselves to you.
Yeah, I mean, I always think about with you in particular, you were on this show. You saw how the sausage was made.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always think, oh my God, if I wound up as like a busser on Vanderpump Rules, it might take away some of the magic of Vanderpump Rules for me.
Sure.
I'm, nudge and a wink there. But were you watching reality television before you got onto The Bachelorette?
Yes, but I watched all things Bravo, which we'll get into, but except Below Deck. But
wait, what's your beef with Below Deck, Rachel? Wait, this is their viral moment. You hate Below Deck?
It's not that I hate it. Okay, so here's a confession. It's not that I hate it. I don't watch it, so then I have to act like I hate it. So I'm like, oh, except for Below Deck. And I think I just feel a certain way because I don't watch it, and I feel like I can't.
You got to stand 10 toes down on hating Below Deck.
It's too late for me, in my opinion, to jump in. I don't have time for it. And then most people who don't watch Bravo will say, well, I watch Below Deck. So now I've just created this whole persona where I'm like, that doesn't count.
Well, it's like Law and Order for me. Like there's 8 billion seasons and I can't start now because I have OCD where I need to start something from beginning to finish. Rachel, there's literally 3,000 episodes of Law and Order.
Blasphemous. I've seen every episode probably 3 to 4 times.
Well, I wish you would have spent some of that time on Below Deck. So you were all things Bravo besides Below Deck before, but did you ever think about how do these shows get made? And when I'm walking into The Bachelorette, what is this going to put me through? Because I always think that it's going to lose some of its luster as a viewer and a fan of these shows.
Yeah, well, I didn't watch love shows, which is different, right? I didn't really watch competition reality shows. I didn't watch love shows. I watched Flavor of Love. I watched I Love New York. I mean, the classics.
Did you do Rock of Love?
No.
Did you dip into the Bret Michaels?
A little bit.
Okay.
But not really. I watched the classics. I watched the VH1. But I wasn't.
What a moment that was.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. But I never watched The Bachelor. I'm not.
Yeah.
And even after, I don't watch Love Island. I've watched a little bit of Love Is Blind because it's so different. But it's not really my thing. So but can I just say I've always admired reality TV stars. When I would watch them, I would say, wow, that is something I could never do. I could never put myself out there in such a vulnerable way. And so I admired the courage that they had that I didn't think is something that I could ever do. So walking into The Bachelor, I was skeptical. That was the biggest feeling that I had.
Yeah.
I just was like, I don't want to be manipulated. I don't want to be made a fool of. I don't believe any of this is real. I don't think I'll make lasting friendships. I don't really think that I'll fall in love. And so my head was just kind of on a swivel immediately. Like the first night, I think I had 1 glass of wine and a cup of coffee because I just was like, I'm waiting for them to trick me. And even on The Bachelor, I got the first impression rose. I didn't even really understand what that meant. And I remember walking around saying, who told him to give me this rose? Who set me up? And a producer had to say, Rachel, he gave it to you because he wanted to give it to you. Maybe you should just lean in and fall into it. And from that moment, I let go and I just said, I'm just going to allow myself to fall and feel.
And those are the best if we are to coin reality stars. Folks, we will be back to the show in just 1 second, but we need to take a moment to talk about our good friends over at Quince. Now, we all have that spring travel itch right now. I know you're going on vacations. Hopefully, I hope I get to go on a vacation. I just got back from Vegas, actually, for ChumpCon, and I did treat myself to a nice, breathable, light blue sports jacket, which I am wearing right now. See, it says Quince right here, and guess what? It is affordable. Everything that Quince offers. They have lightweight shirts and shorts from $30. They have pants for any occasion, and they have beautiful, comfortable lounge sets. And with premium luggage options and durable duffel bags to carry it all, they have those as well. And the best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. How do they do this? They partner directly with top factories. Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and they pass that savings, that's right, directly on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. How can you not love that? Seriously, folks, it is so easy. All you have to do is go to quince.com, Quince, and they have everything laid out. They have their best sellers. They have their new arrivals, men, women, everything. You want to buy something for yourself? They have it. You want to get a gift for your family or friends? They have it. I have my eye on a new piece of luggage because I did just break my piece of luggage at ChumpCon this weekend. So Quince, I think you might have just sold at least one piece of luggage. So for your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades that you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/sobad for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/sobad to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/sobad. And now, back to our show. You know, those are the best ones that have a lack of self-awareness, or at least appear to have a lack of self-awareness, even if you disagree with them, even if you that then makes them a villain. Chelsea, your co-host on Morally Corrupt, you were talking about the Beverly Hills reunion, and she was like, it was an okay season. I liked it. And I was like, I'm with you, where I was like, I think we got to make some changes here. Yeah. And Sutton, or Sutton, as Chelsea says, is interesting because she was really coming hot and heavy for Dorit in terms of wealth and all of that stuff. But at the reunion, she's a little quieter, like a church mouse. And I almost miss the she seems to be very self-aware in the reunion. Yeah. And I feel like that is what we don't want in reality television.
No, we don't. We don't want, and Chelsea said this, and I think it was a good point on the podcast. Beverly Hills, more than anybody, seems to be more self-aware of what they're doing. And that was the beauty of Sutton, because she wasn't. She was just kind of all over the place. But that's why I also like the way that the part 2 of the reunion ends, because Dorit goes, there she is. There she is. And you can almost see Sutton, to your point, like, oh, wait.
Yes.
My slip is showing.
It's coming for me.
My slip is showing. And we're all like, yes, Sutton, come on, be yourself.
Okay, I want to get into Beverly Hills and all the Bravo shows in one moment. But before we start, in a positive way, what has made your heart sing lately in terms of pop culture? Because we know everything that I always talk about what I dislike, what I'm angry about, all of this stuff. But there are certain things where I'm sitting around, I have a smile on my face while I'm watching or listening to something. What is that for you?
It is The Valley. The upcoming season of The Valley.
Did you watch the first episode yet?
No.
I got to screw it.
I probably have.
By the way,
a
Rachel,
screener.
I'm talking to Alex Baskin, the producer, later on today.
Oh my gosh! So tell him I said hi.
I will.
I DM'd him and I said I'm setting the premiere on my calendar. Like, I want to watch it like a fan. I'm sure I have the screener, because I get the screeners too. I always forget to watch them, but I'm ecstatic. I was just on a bachelorette trip with Jasmine Good.
Yes.
I was like, Jasmine,
I saw that.
Tell me everything. And she's like, I can't.
Wait, what did she tell you? Come on. She didn't even let one thing.
She just told me it was good.
There's a scene in the preview where she's calling Janet, I'm sick of your Karen behavior.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to give my opinion about certain people in the Valley to see if I could pull it out of her. She's good. I don't know whatever Bravo was doing PR-wise, but Jasmine is on lock. But I am it makes me happy, and partly because I wasn't excited when it first started. I was like, I'm not going to watch
Everybody
this
was
show.
like that. Everybody was like, we do not need this. We do not need the furthering adventures of Jax Taylor.
No, we didn't. And we were bitter about Vanderpump Rules, and we're like, who are these people? I don't have room in my life to meet new people, to make new friends, reality TV friends. And boy, were we wrong. So it's the authenticity, the chaos of this show, and you saw, we got the premiere. Well, you did. We got the trailer. I had a smile on my face the whole time. I said, there got to be like 13 different storylines here, and I believe every single one of them.
But also because it's based on relationship, right?
Yeah.
That's why I believe Roni didn't live up to its expectations, because we watched them form friendships as the show continued.
That's a good point.
You know, with The Valley, there's already Dodie and Jax, there's a relationship there.
Right,
There's a big brother and sister and more. There's a relationship. We know Tom Schwartz. We know these characters. So the heavy lifting is that show is already doing half the work because of previous relationships that we are aware of.
Right. And to your point with Beverly Hills, they seem to not be as aware of what they're doing, which will be interesting for season 2. Will they be more reserved? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it from the trailer, but that show makes me happy. It makes me believe in reality TV. I'm like, all right, I see that, and I'm like, we still got it.
But what does that say about us as, I guess, a society as well, is that, and I know this makes me sound insane, but I do take joy in watching other people's lives fall apart in some ways. But why do you think that is?
Well, I think it makes us feel better about ourselves.
Right?
When I started watching back in the day, Bravo or any reality TV show, I did it as an escape. I was practicing law. Everything was so serious. It wasn't family court, so it wasn't that kind of drama. That I would turn on my TV and I would just immerse myself in these chaotic worlds, and it made me feel better about maybe the boring parts or the plain or straight and narrow parts of my life, because I could just watch it all play out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we enjoy. Of course, we don't want people to feel bad, or we don't want to see people harmed or hurt or sad or anything like that. But it is nice.
It is nice, but it is, I have to keep reminding myself to have empathy and to look at both sides. And sometimes you just don't, reality shows need you to be, this is obvious, they want us to be angry. They want us to be upset. They want us, reality show is one of the only things that the audience in second screen technology, it's dependent on the success of a show, us getting angry and tweeting, firing off a meme, anything like that.
Yeah.
But being on that side of it where you filmed and you've heard the best things about yourself and you've heard the worst things about yourself. Mm-hmm. That's what I always put myself in the mind of a reality star. How do you deal with this psychologically? Like, how is your blood pressure shoot through the roof at times?
I'm really good at compartmentalizing things. And so I'm probably built for reality TV because I can shut off. I remember walking in and I thought, at first when I was on the show and I got off, I used to clap back at everybody. They called me the clap back queen of The Bachelor. Like, I would pop off at people, I would tweet. And then I was like, what am I doing? I don't know these people. They don't know me. The people who know me get me. And I quickly learned that lesson of, if I'm going to accept the praise, I have to accept the hate at the same time. And I just have learned to shut it off. And you have to have a really thick skin doing these shows. And a lot of people don't. I think that's when you see people break down. I know I don't need to be back on reality TV.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You say if you are built for something, then why would you not continue down that path?
There are other things that I want to do that I feel like reality TV would block. I don't want to be known as a reality TV star.
I mean, you're on CNN yesterday. Like, it would be hard to continue down this path if you're like, Rachel got a champagne glass thrown at her last week on television, and now she's commenting on world policy.
I want it to be taken seriously. And that's no shade to other people who have done reality TV. But for me, I knew the path that I wanted to go down, and it just didn't work for me to continue. Now, there are reality TV shows like Traitors, where I feel like I could go back to.
That was one of my questions, I think. And by the way, would you ever be willing to just be honest with me right now? Have you gotten an offer for the next season of The Traitors?
No. And I've been pretty vocal that I would do it.
I'm just looking to see if your fingers are crossed or anything like that.
I'm mad about it. I'm mad.
There's never been a whisper.
I've had multiple people come up to me and say, you should do it. I've put it out there with conversations with people that I would be interested. This would bring me back to reality TV. I don't know if they're nervous to put me on because of, the fallout with The Bachelor. I don't know if they think that I would similar. It wouldn't. It's a totally different situation. I don't know. I think I'd be great for the show. I feel like anytime Traitors comes out when they finish a season and then they're about to start picking for a new season, I'm always on the list. People are like, Rachel should do the show. I would really be interested in doing it.
Yeah, I think you would be amazing. I mean, you might be a little too smart for the show. And I mean that, but you might be really too good for the show. But you're talking about being critical. And I think you're speaking of, obviously, of the Bachelor franchise. And that's what I was talking about originally about how the sausage is made, is that you're talking about your experience and how we can make the overall experience better, not only for the people that participate, but the viewer as well. And you were just talking about on Morally Corrupt, you know, when we're talking about drinking on episodes, or you were talking about Leah McSweeney and her case continuing. It's, you know, it's gotten to the next level. And you were talking about, you know, well, you're not going to want to depose Andy or depose any of these people because that could be highly damaging to the brand. How do we make ethical reality television, but at the same time get the mess that we so desire?
That's a really tough question. I wish I had the answer to it. I think if we did, you know, like reality TV would be in
well, we talked about, I mean, have you thought about producing reality television yourself? Because, I mean, we were coming up with ideas on the spot on the Sam Sanders show.
I know.
You had ideas
we had
like
some good
that.
ones. Maybe that is what they need. Maybe a former contestant who has been through it that might be a little bit more sensitive, because I think as a producer, you have to detach yourself in certain ways to fully be able to do your job. You can't be emotionally attached. I learned that when I was on the show. I would be friends with producers, but I would constantly tell myself they have a job to do. Their job is to snuggle up and get close to me and get information out of me so they can use that and manipulate that to produce the show. I was aware of that. I'm not saying I was good at protecting myself from it all the time, but I knew what was happening. It's interesting to think, could I do that as a producer behind the scenes? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be some form of manipulation, right?
Well, I think about that in terms of Beverly Hills this season, you know, with the Kyle of it all. You know, it's like, I really don't give a rip about her and Morgan Wade. I don't care if it's more than a special friendship, whatever. But there is this element, and even Andy was hopping on, of like, come on, you did a video where you were literally almost kissing in the video. People are curious, you know, like, why can't, and she was, you know, I've shared so much, you know, it's not going to affect my family. I appreciate that, but you are choosing to cash a paycheck that is dependent on sharing your life. And this seems to be a big part of it. And to your point on your show, we barely got anything. I don't even know if Mauricio knows he's like close to a divorce.
Exactly.
Like, it's so confusing.
Exactly. And Erica's not giving us anything. The fact that she's
great wallpaper, Erica. Congrats.
Yeah, the fact that she's just like sliding under the radar and like getting away with, she's not giving us anything in the reunion because she doesn't have anything to say. She got away with it all
then she can go. But then she can come at Garcelle, and I'm like, how dare you?
Oh, I wish Garcelle would have fought back. The Kyle thing is interesting, and I know I'm not answering your question, but the Kyle thing is really interesting to me because Andy hinted at it, and I've always thought that Kyle and Morgan are close. I won't speculate because she hasn't commented on it, but they're close in whatever form or fashion. But they used the platform to further Morgan's career. It was intentional.
He made that point.
It was purposeful. I've always thought that. Then I don't think Morgan liked some of the attention that she was getting. I think, again, you have to have thick skin. I think it was a little too much for her. And so then she didn't want that coming in the second season, but she totally benefited off of, I didn't know who Morgan was before. Not saying she's not talented, but I think that she gained a whole new audience, got a lot of attention, got a lot more followers, probably booked more shows. And they knew what they were doing with that.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to accept both sides of it.
You can't put the rabbit back in the hat, though. Exactly. Like, it's out. And then the more that you protest, the more that, and this is somebody that's been with the show for 14 seasons and talking about being friendly with producers, you obviously know that these people are probably like family to Kyle in some ways. But there does have to be of like, we can't treat her with kid gloves so much. And that's why, to your point, I've always said this season, and I know this is blasphemous, can't we, maybe Kyle just sits it out for a season.
I've said it too.
Like, I say that having full respect for Kyle Richards, but listen, if you're not, I mean, same with Dorit. I'm so confused with PK. Like, you know. It's so confusing. That show especially, it's all about the things that it becomes a show about what they're trying to keep from us instead of what is actually going on.
Good point. That's exactly what's happening.
And that's why Garcelle was calling that out, too.
Yeah. Garcelle, when she says to Kyle, we had this conversation off.
No conversation's off. Doesn't that infuriate you?
It is infuriating. And I was kind of like, come on, Garcelle, if you know you're leaving anyway, just go out with a bang.
Give
the people what they want. But she would have been ripped apart for, telling Kyle's personal.
Ripped apart no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted that. I mean, maybe we get it in the third part.
Well,
I
we
don't
do
know.
see her leave, and what was so great about the first part of the reunion, she says maybe we'll all get a cast photo at the end of this because we didn't get it last year because Sutton had to leave. She got air vac'd out or whatever, and then we know that Garcelle doesn't do that cast photo. She
right.
walks out, and I'm like, what do we think in this third episode on next Tuesday night? What do we think happens that just
it has
burns
to
it
happen
down?
at the toast, right? Because she stood up to do the toast, and whatever was said in that circle, it was something smart aleck enough that she was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm sure there were other things, but that was the final straw.
But Garcelle in particular, I feel like she had like this suicide bomber mission where she had to do the tough job. And since you've had experience on this, in my opinion, it was producers saying, hey, maybe you should ask Kyle about Morgan.
For sure.
Right? Like, so
For
she had the
sure.
hard job. Like, I don't think that all was just Garcelle's doing. I feel, and if I was a producer, I would be using my cast members the same way. I don't think that is out of bounds or against the rules, but we know Kyle does not want to talk about it. They know, but we still need to get it on the air.
Yeah. I agreed with that last season. We needed that from Garcelle. Garcelle kept pushing it. Garcelle kept making statements. And even in this season, I loved when Garcelle was like, just be a lesbian or whatever she said.
At Chuck E. Cheese, yeah.
And at Chuck E. Cheese. And then it just should have ended there. I kind of got sick of Garcelle saying pushing the same narratives over and over again. You're not going to get it from Kyle. It's frustrating. Just let it go at this point. And I kind of wish Garcelle, I agree with you. I am for sure the producers told her to talk about that and the robbery over and over again because she was the only one willing to do it.
But I don't mind that. I don't
I
feel
did
like
mind the robbery.
Well, okay, I did say the robbery even hit a little, but it also goes to the point of there are so many unanswered questions on Beverly Hills where it becomes an unsatisfying viewing experience at times because you leave not feeling satiated or full in any way because I still don't know what I mean. And there's so many weird, like PK and Dorit. This season, we finally find out that he's like, we had fights all the time. It was crazy. Never saw it on TV.
Yeah, great
Never
accent.
saw it. I'm really known for my vocal work. But like, we never saw that. So all of a sudden, something that we had suspected all along turns out to be true.
Right.
What else aren't we seeing behind the scenes?
I think everything would be the
And
answer.
that's the show.
It's like Erica says to Garcelle, who are you dating? Well, Erica, who are you dating?
Exactly.
When
You
came-
profess to be like a sex goddess.
Exactly.
And we're focused on, here's your wallpaper. Like, that's it. That is it.
Exactly. Who are these women dating? Like Sutton's at least as awkward as it is giving us dates. They want to make fun of her about buying horses. At least she's showing us the people that she's dating.
By the way, what happened to Santos? Santos was her whole storyline last week. We have not
yeah, it
visited the
was.
horse at all.
What do you think she still has Santos?
Oh, you think she lost?
I don't know. I just say it. I mean, like, we haven't seen it. We haven't heard. You know
the
what?
big mystery.
Maybe because Sutton
Where is
gave us a lot.
Santos?
Sutton did give us things, and that's. My
But
thing.
she was messy in that way that you want your reality stars to be
Perfectly
messy
messy.
because she's not in it. Like you are an effective communicator. Like I listen to you and I'm like, damn, she expressed in like 2 sentences what takes me an hour to do. Sutton, she gets all garbled like my pocketbook is crazy, but don't we want that? Somebody that is
Yes.
just like speaking out of pocket and not well.
What would we have done these last few seasons without Sutton? When Erica was going through her drama with Tom, it was Sutton who was pressing the buttons. With Kyle, it's Sutton. With Dorit, it's Sutton. Sutton has had an issue with every single person. We really, really need that, like that
Yes.
type of energy coming. Because my thing with Beverly Hills is, and I said this on Morally Corrupt, there's always just one storyline.
Yeah.
There's not that much either. I do like the addition of Bose. She's the voice of reason, and she'll even though as close as she is with Dorit, and I will say, Dorit made a lot of sense in this reunion.
Yeah.
A lot of sense, where Kyle did not, which is why I'm with you. With
Kyle
her
just
sitting
leans
out.
on the I've shared so much. Like that's what it keeps saying. It's like we're not, you're keeping score. We're talking about the here and now.
Right. If Dorit was doing what Kyle was doing with Mauricio, Kyle would. I almost wish she was. Dorit needs to come back next season and establish a friendship with Mauricio. I'm asking for it. I'm damn near begging for it.
But Rachel, why we know more about Mauricio's love life than we do any of those ladies?
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
We know more about who he's kissing at airports, who he's going to the polo lounge with.
Exactly.
Those are all storylines. We know nothing about usually any of the rest of their relationships.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, with Kyle and Mauricio, they'll probably never get divorced because it just seems to be so complicated. But just say we're officially separated and we're dating other people. So then every story of Mauricio kissing or dating somebody
Doesn't
or
have
in
to be-
Aspen, you know what I mean? I was in Aspen. I saw Mauricio.
Would you be willing, just for the downloads, to say that you made out with Mauricio? Why can't you just give me
I did
one
not
thing?
do that.
Did you
Not
make
for
out?
me.
Is it true you made out with PK Kemsley?
It is who I've also run into, who I also ended up sitting right next to in New York at a restaurant.
Oh, wait, you told me this and you said he was speaking very highly of Dorit.
Very highly, but he didn't know, obviously, that I'm a super fan, and he didn't know that I knew. But he never said Dorit's name, but he just kept saying, my wife this, my wife this.
Maybe he's
Speaking about her
remarried.
Beautifully.
Maybe it's not Dorit.
That's not Dorit.
Maybe
Can you imagine? That's the
my
thing.
wife is amazing. Yeah.
Oh, I should have said, what's her name? He's like,
Well,
Kristen.
I mean, so that it's just interesting is that I think the audience has a firm hold of Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even think producers and all that they have a hold of the narrative. So we have taken it and we are not getting the results that we think. It's like if you have a kid that you think can do better in school, you're like,
Yeah.
I believe in you. I think you can do better. And we need to make some changes and we got to really study on the off season. And I just don't know how you go about fixing a show because the ratings are still really solid. But yeah, like Erica Jane, where do you go with a character like that? And to your point, Sutton read a news article, and now that's going against girl code.
Right.
No, we should be. And by the way, Erica Jane still has never answered any of the questions that were asked of her.
Correct. You know what the answer is to all that you just said? You need to talk. Can I say this? You
Yeah.
need to ask Alex. You need to talk to Alex Baskin.
I know. I'm going to see how far I can go. I mean, honestly, I'm really nervous for this interview because I'm like, how far can I go with things? Because you want to show.
Go. Give the people what they
But
want.
you want to show respect because you're like, dude, you produced some of my favorite experiences in television.
Yeah.
And you know how all the sausage is made. And at the same time, like, how many housewives do you regret giving your phone number to? Like, that's the show right there.
Yeah,
Like, what does your
yeah.
text message look like?
Yeah, because everybody speaks really highly of him.
Yeah, I know.
feel-
See when I mean, we're all critics these days. So when I say these things, I'm not like, how dare this man?
Oh, yeah, no.
Like, I can't imagine what it's like to produce a show or even The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I can't imagine dealing with that many personalities and trying to construct a narrative. You know, you were talking about The White Lotus on Morally Corrupt, and I was listening to Mike White did an interview with Howard Stern yesterday, and it really brought a lot of joy because Mike White was getting such a kick out of the interview, and he doesn't do many, but he was talking about, you know, everybody's a critic now. And he goes, I just came back to Los Angeles. I don't even know who my friends are anymore. I'm now scrolling on my phone again and I'm reading just like negative things about me. And he goes, I'm leaving for Colombia tonight because I just can't be here. And I just thought, wow, this is like an auteur, somebody that is at the top of their game and they experience the same things that we all do in terms of criticism.
Well, what Mike White is, it's kind of like, it's not reality TV, but it's kind of to the point where I was saying, if you're going to accept the praise, you have to accept the hate at the same time, because the conversation that we were having a little bit with Sam when we did his show was about monoculture. The White Lotus, in my opinion, is the closest thing to a monoculture that we have. Yep. I talked about it on CNN. I'm talking about it in my friend groups. We're talking about it here. Everybody was sitting and watching the finale. Everybody had was speculating, or it felt like everybody, I should say.
Yeah.
It felt like everybody was watching. Everybody knew that it was an hour and a half and not an hour. Everybody had their theories about what was the theme of this season. Everybody was saying who they thought was going to die. Then it came out that it was possibly going to be 3 people. When is the last time that there has been a show that has done that? So
we weren't doing that with the finale of Southern Charm this season.
No, we were not.
We were doing it though with The White Lotus.
Yes.
And how exciting that is. Like, highest rated season of The White Lotus, highest rated for HBO for the last couple of, or HBO Max or whatever we're calling it these days. Mm-hmm. And I miss the monoculture.
Oh my gosh.
I missed how exciting it is to have those water cooler moments.
Yes.
People forget. I was trying to explain to the audience what we used to call like water cooler moments, where everybody had a water cooler at work and you'd sit around and talk about what happened on Lost. And I think that's great, where we all have something, even if you hate it, we're at least communicating with each other.
Exactly. I said to you, when's the last time we had it? It was Scandival.
Yeah.
That was the last time that we had it.
Well, and that was 2 years ago, or a little like 2 years and a month ago. I have it written in my journal somewhere. And it, it really did galvanize the Bravo audience, and then take it a step further and brought new eyes into that show and that franchise.
Everybody. I remember when my ex said to me, "Who are Tom and Ariana?" And I thought,
get out of here. Get out of here.
It has crossed over. Everybody wanted to know. So
my parents were in.
They?
I remember my mom passed away about a year and a half ago, but she was alive for Scandival, and she was going to all these treatments. And I just remember she was in this chair in the bedroom that she could like lay back on. And do you remember the appearance of Tom Schwartz on Watch What Happens Live? It was a disastrous appearance where he obviously was drunk, and he was like, "Oh, Sandoval got lost in the sauce." And I remember sitting with my mom's iPad, making my mom watch it, and she was like, "This guy's an idiot." Like, it was such a, like, you just have these life moments where you're showing people these moments, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, so I need you to ask Alec Baskin.
Can you just stay for the interview and then we just start a spin-off pod? Come on.
That would be amazing.
I mean,
I love,
if
Stevie always have great ideas.
We'll just have you hide under here and then you pop out. "Alex, what's up?" Rachel Lindsay.
Tell him to give us another monoculture moment, because I mean Vanderpump is under his.
But you can't plan monoculture moments. In fact, Scandival, they truly didn't know until the season started airing.
That's very true.
That's the difference when something like White Lotus or Severance or The Pit or any of these shows, you can almost not predict, but you can think, if this catches on, I think this is what we can get. With reality TV, it's becoming sometimes disposable like toilet paper. Like, we just finished Southern Charm. We're in the middle of Summer House. And now they just come and go like the seasons. And you're like, it's like being a fan of a sports team. Of like, well, still root for my team even though it wasn't a good season.
Well, what happens with sports, right? When things get stale, when things are staying stagnant, and you're not making it to the playoffs, like people, whatever it may be, you refresh the team. You change the coach. You change the GM, you trade players, you draft better players. Like, that's literally, and you have to talk, Alex is a sports guy. So you have to talk to Alex about this.
Rachel, I am not a sports guy, so you're going to have to like tell me
but
what to tell him.
You're doing great, sweetie.
Okay.
You already did it. You said
Alex, sports, what up?
You trade players. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what you have to see. Like, things are getting stale. Summer House is stale. I give credit to Danny. I
still enjoy summer. I feel like it's that vibe. It's like, yeah, I'm watching you walk in and out of doors, but for some reason, I have given Summer House a pass because, first off, I love the Jesse Solomon just being like the potentially one of the cringy, like one of the just like, I'm like, how do women fall for this?
It's hard out here.
Did you make out with Jesse Solomon?
No, I did not. But I had. We had him on our podcast.
No,
he's a nice guy.
No, he's such a nice guy. But what is presented on the screen is that he is promising love when we know he wants sex.
Yeah. He's a bro. I mean, I feel different. I think I always say Southern House. I always mix it up.
That's
Summer House, I love it. It's great. I don't want to lose them. I have to give credit to Danny Pellegrino. I think that they should do something like a Jersey Shore family vacations type thing. I don't want to lose them.
Well, they had one episode in the city that actually, I mean, it was like it was a little exciting to see them play like kickball.
Yeah, I love them. I don't want to lose them. I literally just had lunch with Sierra. Is today Wednesday? Yesterday. I had lunch with Sierra when I was in New York. Like, I love these people, but it needs a refresher. And it's become evident to me with the addition of Lexi and Bailey, even though we saw Bailey for 2 seconds. Yeah. It's like, they really are in a different place.
26-year-old influencer.
Right, than the original Summer House people. And I think the same thing's happening with Southern Charm. Why did we love Southern Charm? We loved it because we were watching, and especially it was evident at the reunion because we were getting the flashbacks of Craig and Shep and what they used to be like. It's like, that is what we fell in love with. Catherine, Thomas, all of these people.
But at this point, you cannot argue that Southern Charm, I think it should just be called Southern Boys, because we then then Vanita and JT have to do the heavy lifting at the end of the season, and we have not invested enough in that storyline or Vanita thus far.
Right.
We should have ended it with Shep on the beach crying about the megalodon tooth being given out and not being reciprocated. You know what I'm saying? It was such a lopsided, weird season, but we have to make this hard decision of like, yes, it's really focusing on these men, and they try to shoehorn these women in, and you've seen the women come and go.
Right.
I don't think Taylor's going to be back next season, because I'm like, how do you fit her in on another season?
And her man won't film.
Yeah, Gaston. Yeah,
Sally's a good addition.
Yeah, she wants to play ball.
Yeah. She's aware. She's ready and willing, and she's been on other reality TV shows too. So like, this is a girl who knows what she's doing. I mean, we appreciate that. But I think, to the point, that's what we're seeing with these shows where it's stale. Love the people. We've been on a journey with them, but we need some sort of shakeup. And I know I'm asking for a lot, and I know that's very hard, especially when you have so many people who have grown up on reality TV, who desire to be on it and are modeling their behavior after some other person that they've seen in reality TV, and they've seen them have great success. So it's not as genuine as it used to be. So I know it's hard, but we know it can be done, because then we see things happen like The Valley.
Well, that's why I'm like, do we just send Sandoval to every show and have him cheat with somebody in a long relationship? Like, I mean, I was trying to think outside the box, which now I'm just thinking, actually, have you had a lot of reality stars reach out to you and go, how are you doing what you're doing? Like, how do I model my career after yours? Do you have that?
On The Bachelor, I used to get it. Now it's like, my season was 8 years ago, so not as much. But when I would come off the show and I started to do stuff on television, a lot of people would ask me. If I do get it outside of it, it's people of color that are like, oh, how did you get into hosting? I was the first one of this. How are you able to? Like, somebody who I'm so proud of who reached out is Taylor from Big Brother. I don't watch Big Brother.
Dude, Taylor Hale, she is amazing.
And she's killing it. And Xavier, who won before
Prather, yeah.
We both went to Marquette for law school. So he had reached out, and so he and I connected, and then he introduced me to Taylor. And I'm like, I will give you the keys of, like, I'll tell you every single thing that I did. I do not believe in gatekeeping at all. And Taylor's really doing her thing.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So sometimes people will, and I'm always like, yeah, reach out to me. Like, I'm here to help you. I don't believe in blocking people's blessings at all.
No, I mean, there's enough to go around for everybody. I mean, now everybody in there, that's another question I want for Alex is like, can we stop the Bravo podcast? Because that
is something Jasmine told me.
What did she say?
That people keep getting in trouble, and like Bravo's really coming down, because she and Zach announced a podcast.
But wasn't that an April Fool's Day joke?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So I come into The Bachelorette, and I was like, congratulations, girl. I just saw that you got a new podcast. She goes, girl, that was the April Fool's joke. And then that's when she was like,
but see, that's such a real April Fool's joke, because you really believe it, because every cast member on that show almost has a podcast.
Yes, and it was titled Not Another Bravo Podcast. I was like, oh, this is so great. I had no idea it was a joke. The joke was on me.
Dude, that joke's going to become a reality, though, because I'm like, you got the cover art already. That's going to happen.
It was great. And so she was telling me that Bravo is really coming down on them about what people are saying on their podcast, about what people are saying on other podcasts. So yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
That's
even for this show, it's like, if I have a Bravo celebrity, I've got the Bravo rep. Like I'm not at a Nick Viall level where he gets to have like the juiciest of juice, And so it's a really interesting thing of like, even if we get something interesting, you'll have to cut it. The Bravo rep will like exercise that. So it's like this really weird game that they play.
Yeah.
Talking about, I am really loving this season of Atlanta.
Yeah, me
I thought
too.
It was one of the best. I think it was also because my expectations were so low going in.
Same.
And then that first episode, I mean, like, Shamia, you've been there all along. Why are we not showing this house off? You got a $400,000 car in the first episode. Whoa, what is going on?
This is what we want. What do I always say? I want to feel poor when I watch.
I'm getting into HVAC repair just because of this.
I bet that was like trending on on the internet.
Totally was. Yeah.
Everybody was looking up like, what's HVAC? It's in airports. How do you build?
I got so many comments like, you don't know what HVAC is, you idiot. I was like, I know, but it was just such it's like something when Tom Girardi's a lawyer, and I was like, yeah, I guess you do make $1 billion doing law, but HVAC, I was like, yeah, I don't even know anything about it. Maybe you do make millions of dollars doing HVAC.
I mean, the way that she is living, and I don't want to, and people are like, oh, it's Atlanta. Who cares? Nobody else is living like that. Like, that is what we need to be bringing. They were sitting on a gold mine in Shamia. Now that we get to know Shamia, we know that she's been through it with,
the story about her fertility story.
Yeah.
That's what I think Atlanta and all of these shows, that's where they earn the crazier moments when you can give a solid foundation of reality. Mm-hmm. Like that, and even talking about, the complications that Black women go through in terms of birth and all of that stuff. Like, the general public doesn't know those kind of things.
Yeah.
And when you get to put a little bit of that medicine in there and we get to learn, then you really earn the crazy, like Portia, like driving off with Dennis the Menace in a hot mic moment. It earns those moments.
So good. I was skeptical. The bar was low for me when it came to Atlanta. I was like, oh, we're getting all these new faces, but I
don't want to
know,
like you said, I don't want to get to know new people.
I don't. My plate is full, but I knew we were getting back Portia, and then we know Phaedra comes in later. We knew Cynthia was coming in, so I think I said this on Morally Corrupt. I think maybe that's the magic of dipping in for like a Beverly Hills. Let's dip back and pull back in some of our favorites from the past and maybe a couple of new faces. And that's similar to what you would do on a basketball team or a football team or whatever. And maybe that's the magic. That's the key to success. The people who know how to play the game, who are seasoned, who we love already coming in, that can usher in this new wave of people as well. Because the new ladies, even though I'm not a fan of Britt and how she came at Kenya, she's still, if I had to say anybody was trying too hard, if there was anybody that I'm like, girl, I don't know if I believe you, it would be her. Did I like that Kelly bought 17 purses for her daughter for turning 17? It was the dumbest thing I ever heard, and I stand by that daughter does not have those 17 purses.
And she had the guys in the outfits delivering the purses. It was
Where are you going at 17? Where are you going? Walking around the house?
There's not even enough days in a year for 17 purses. But I mean, just this past week's episode, we've got the last episode of Kenya Moore.
Right.
I do think eventually she will come back. I thought the door was open, but then Andy was talking about it on his Sirius XM show with John Hill and said some things. And then Kenya fired back in the comments and just says, like, you don't understand. And she brought Phaedra's name back into it because of that whole situation with Candy, which still really has never been fully resolved. But I was saying, if Britt Eady comes in and does mention having a pistol, like pistol whipping, all of these things, that is really a thing of, even if you're nervous and trying to throw everything against the wall and see what sticks, that's a very big thing to say on television.
Yeah. I wasn't prepared for that storyline. I feel like that didn't come out. We just knew what Kenya did, but we didn't know why. So, we knew Kenya's petty, so it was like, oh, Kenya just doesn't like the new girl. I would have been in fear for my life as well. I don't know you.
Yeah.
But from what I do know, you're telling me you got pistols and whips and all these things.
I've been on this show for like 10 years, and now all of a sudden I've got a bulletproof vest, maybe?
Yeah. I don't know what you're capable of. It's not like it's Portia saying it, who I'm like, oh, she's just, I can't put any context to what you're saying because I don't know you. And so would I have done what Kenya did? No. But I wish Kenya would have played it different. I think Kenya could have got Britt. This could have been a one and done for Britt. She could have said she didn't feel safe. She might have been there the rest of the season, but I guarantee you she wouldn't have been back for her second season. Yeah. And then Kenya could have stayed and kept her crown because she is so beloved within the Atlanta Real Housewives of Atlanta universe.
She's a legend.
Yeah, she's a legend. But she just took it. She got so wrapped up in it.
And for you guys who don't watch, I mean, obviously, she's been working on this Kenya Moore hair care. She's got this beautiful new facility, and she's making an opening speech. Britt brought her flowers, and she was paying Britt no mind. So Britt leaves, and then she makes I always say, just imagine you're at like Fantastic Sam's or like Supercuts, and all of a sudden your hairdresser's like, before we start this haircut, I need to show you. Like, she went out to a FedEx Kinko's and got these things made up. First off, talking about Britt's changing looks, and then allegedly her performing oral sex on somebody at this really beautiful hair care salon. Now, the positive side of this is you can see why she's a legend. Like the way she delivers lines.
I know.
You know, she was like,
I know.
And like you're like, legendary performance, but my God, have we gone too far?
It would have been enough for her to just say, it would have been
the
mean,
face.
but just the changing faces
Yeah.
and all the work that she's done. But then to say, do what she did, where she showed her performing a sexual act, and then to keep doubling down on it. Even now, she's like,
doubling down still.
She's like, well, I found it on the internet. It's out there online. And I'm like, you're not getting it. And then even, I think what Cynthia said to her was really good about like, you got blinded by it. This isn't you. This is beneath you. You're above it. And then also the fact that she was like, she threw her daughter's name into it. And it's like, you have a daughter. Imagine if somebody was doing this to your daughter. People make mistakes. We have no idea why she was doing this and how it got Britney and how it got out and why it was public and all of that. But it's completely embarrassing. And just to want to shame somebody in that way is just a low.
Oh, I mean, it's so low, but then at the same time, it's like where we started with Sutton, is that like you almost want those characters that are so prideful and stubborn that they will not see that they are blinded by their own ego, which is what creates these titans of housewives. So it's this weird argument I have in my head of like, yes, we went too far with this, but isn't that what we are wanting from these ladies, are these moments?
Well, you said something key with ego. And I've never been, and I don't want y'all to come after me, I've never been the biggest Kenya fan because of her ego. And her ego, she was blinded by the rage of Britney saying that to her, and probably the fact that Britney didn't seem to be punished by production in any kind of way. But Kenya's ego is so big that she thought she could do that and totally get away with it, and thought that no one would come after her, that the audience would be on her side. She thought her castmates would be on her side. And I think it was a really humbling, or it should have been a humbling moment for her. I mean, she's still doubling down, so it doesn't seem that way. But Kenya's ego is so big. And I enjoy watching her. She's great reality TV, but it can be so obnoxious that sometimes it's hard for me to enjoy her because she does have such an inflated sense of self.
Yeah, I mean, like, and also I think that we celebrate them for these caricatures that they end up being, turned. I think this is what I disliked about Lisa Rinna in later seasons of Beverly Hills, where we celebrated them for certain behavior, and then they started like going like, oh, I'm just going to do that again, but I'm going to intensify it 20 times where it doesn't seem real at all.
Yeah.
And then the audience is so savvy these days.
Yeah.
Okay, as we start, God, this is going so quick. What are the tropes of reality television that you are absolutely sick of?
Oh my gosh, you're making me think here.
I'm so sorry. I said it would be easy.
It's a great question. What am I sick of?
Like fighting over rooms? Are we sick of people telling on other people?
No, I'm never gonna get sick of people telling on other people. I'm never gonna get sick of the women gathering around a dinner table because it all comes out there. I'm never gonna get sick of the ladies on the water. We know big moments happen on boats.
Get them in the water.
I want vacations. I want dinners. I want boats. So those are my top 3 moments. What I'm sick of are like the yoga experiences or the throwing darts or axes.
Yeah, like
or
we
something like
don't
that.
need an active. We don't need a rage room. We
No.
just sit down on a couch and have a conversation.
Yes.
Like I'm pretty basic.
I'm sick of that. I'm sick of, when new people come on and try to like have a moment, like what I felt like Britney was doing with Kenya, not this episode, but the last episode where she ended up threatening her with a gun. Kenya goes, I'm going to let you have your moment. I don't like that. Don't come for the big dog so you can try to, I don't know, go viral or have this thing or, maybe take them down. That kind of thing needs to stop. What is another?
But you know what it is? It's because that we have now a whole generation of people that were raised on reality television.
That part.
And so we don't like, that's why, I mean, first off, I think Kathy Hilton is one of the world's greatest performance artists out there because I believe it's all an act. I mean, most of it's an act. She's a very intelligent lady that's like bumping into walls because she knows their moments, right?
Yeah.
But also I love people like Sutton and Kathy because I know they don't need the show.
Correct.
Or I mean, maybe I think Sutton loves the attention that comes with it in some kind of way.
Yeah.
But I like people that are like, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm not really aware of what it is I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that like lack of self-awareness is so hard in today's society.
It's great.
Because we have so many influencers out there that are so concerned with follower count and the party that they're posting.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think I'm sick of, I know I get why everyone starts a business and has a product. You should. Why would you not with the platform? But I'm tired of like going to somebody's business opening or them, the opening of a new, their new product, and we all get like it just that feels very forced, very fake.
Well, you know, like when a season's coming up, they're rushing products into production just so they can have a storyline.
Yeah.
Do you have hopes for the new? Roni hasn't been renewed yet.
I know.
But you had a really interesting conversation about Lindsay on Morally Corrupt in terms of Summer House, because the Lindsay and Carl, like, listen, Carl seems to be a man who's still trying to figure out who he is.
For sure.
And you'll see on tonight's
As
Summer.
Aquariuses do.
I don't know astrology at all, but you'll see tonight even on Carl, like he's figuring it out for himself. Mm-hmm. And there isn't this moment, like he wasn't, it turns out, DMing with the magician Lil, his lady, who pulled magic out of her purse, this poor Lil.
The lemur.
But Lindsay's like going all in, like we want our reality stars to do. But like in terms of breakups and these shows, from Paige to Craig to Carl and Lindsay, this is what we want, but what is your personal enjoyment watching somebody like Paige and Craig and the signs that are going down, or somebody like Lindsay who you were like, I'm not with you, Lindsay?
Well, because I don't think Lindsay cares. I think this is all Lindsay has because she can't, this is what I was saying, she can't show the father of her child. So we don't see them dating. We don't see him, like helping her set up her apartment. Like that is totally closed off. So the only thing Lindsay has going for her is to extend her issues with Carl. And I don't think she cares. I think she's just doing it for the cameras. So that's not what I want to see. I don't want to see people harp on the same storyline because they don't have anything else going for themselves. I am interested in the Paige and Craig fallout because we thought it was going to be pleasant, and there's so much more to it. And I think when you watch somebody for 3 years with them and they're this beautiful couple and they seem perfect, I want to know why it wasn't. I want to know every little detail, and it's all starting to, because, it's not always what it seems, and I want to know why.
Well, it was a unique experience to watch on Southern Charm where Craig's like, I bought a ring, everything's great, da-da-da. And then Summer House, you literally, like even Andy on Watch What Happens Last Week told Carl, it was like, it seems to be like a lot of signs for Craig.
Yeah.
How did he not pick up on this? Because the audience is picking up on it immediately. And at this point, that part of a relationship where you already know it's over, or like maybe subconsciously it's over. So she is like, anything this man does is annoying the F out of her.
Yeah. They have two different stories. So that's why another reason I want to see it play out. Lindsay and Carl are over. You have a baby. That's what I kept saying. You have somebody else's baby inside of you. Like that, I don't want to see that.
Is it good for the baby to hate Carl this much?
The baby's going to come out hating Carl. That's going to be the baby's first words.
Give this baby a spinoff.
Carl. Yeah, like that I don't want to. But I do want, I am that viewer, and I also get it. And I can say this too, as somebody who fell in love on TV, and the relationship didn't work, I understand why people want to know what happened. And I think that they are entitled to it. I haven't talked about it fully yet, but I probably will, because I do think people fell in love, they loved your story, and they just want to understand why. And I also think there's a learning experience for it. So as a viewer, I want to know why it didn't work. With Lindsay and Carl, we know why. We've got it, and you've moved on. Paige and Craig, I want it.
But don't we really kind of see, to me, I get it now. I'm like, first off, she is a completely different person than she was at the start of the relationship. Her career has taken off.
Yeah.
She is realizing all of these things are happening, and I'm having to literally slow down because of my partner, who is now making me nervous and making me anxious. And I've got all of these bright lights, and I've got all of this money coming in. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's literally like I have to then slow down to assure you that you are the top dog. And I'm also, I'll say it, I do wonder sometimes if it was political as well. I do, Craig is a big conspiracy theorist. Paris, it's Charleston. I do sometimes wonder, because in this next episode that you're going to see tonight, she tells Sierra in a conversation, I never want to raise my kids in Charleston.
Oh,
and I always
wow.
think that's, I mean, I said it more powerful than she did.
But just saying it.
But I think there's an interesting conversation to be had that I do wonder, and I don't think we'll ever find that part out of it, but it's something that is in my head.
Well, I might do a little digging.
Yeah,
now.
by the way,
I gotta find out about it. I don't know why that didn't even cross my mind, but it is interesting. I mean, to hear that Paige says, I never want to raise my children, and Craig is literally building a life for your future family. How can you be that off? I think that, and I think I've said this, or Chelsea said it, Paige is telling her friends things that she's not telling Craig. And I think that's the kind of stuff I want to see play out too.
Well, you went to lunch with Sierra. What'd she tell you?
I didn't ask.
How do you have lunch with Sierra and you don't even, this is like a real friendship.
We're real friends.
Oh,
we're real
get
friends.
out of here.
There was no summer house mentioned. We are actual real friends. We were actually talking about Coachella because we're both going to be there. And we were trying to.
First weekend or second weekend?
First weekend. We're trying to sync up our
Dude,
schedules.
what is going on with you? You CNN, now you're going to Coachella.
I literally leave tomorrow to go to Coachella.
Okay,
I'm not well.
Who are your favorite? I went to 13 Coachellas in my days. My knees can't handle it anymore. Who are you most excited to see this weekend?
Lady Gaga. I'm really excited. Mustard, DJ Mustard's going to be there.
But you know that's like, isn't it like conflict with Charlie XCX Mustard set?
I don't know.
Because Kendrick's going to be there, I think.
I don't really know Charlie XCX songs.
Oh,
I know
okay.
Brat Summer. Sorry, guys. I know she's great.
Well,
I'm
then
sure.
Mustard, yeah.
But I'll be fine. Big X The Plug is going to be there. Who else am I? Travis Scott's going to be there.
Yeah, he's after Green Day on Saturday night.
Oh, Post is going to be there.
Are you doing the
I'm very
Neon
excited.
Carnival and all that
I'm
stuff?
doing Neon Carnival. This is my first Coachella.
Is your first? Okay.
I know.
Wear a Fitbit. You're going to get a lot of steps.
Yay.
You're going to get a lot of exercise. You're going to get, and also have a scarf because you're going to have Coachella flu after this.
Okay.
You're going to inhale so much dust this weekend.
Okay.
But you're going to have the time of your flipping life. Rachel Lindsay. Okay. This is how we support her. First off, you already follow her on Instagram, but if you don't, follow her. Now, secondly, she has 2 podcasts that are worth your time. Morally Corrupt. These are both with Ringer. And then, of course, the Higher Learning podcast with the only man that can pull off a cowboy hat, Van Lathan. They just sold out their first show at Gramercy, so go get those tickets on StubHub, and hopefully they'll be announcing new live shows. How else do we support you?
I mean, I kind of mentioned one of my books. I still have my books out. If you want to know more about me, I have my, basically, it's my autobiography, but it's in a book of essays. It's called Miss Me With That. You can get that wherever you get books. I have my novel, Real Love, as well. Same thing, wherever you get books. And just follow me and see all the things I'm doing.
Will you come back someday to this show?
100%. You better ask me.
Pull this clip.
100%. I had so much fun with you, of course.
Rachel Lindsay,
Thank you for
ladies and
having me.
gentlemen.